Hey guys, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I wanted to share my thoughts about two things. First, I wanted to respond to some of the feedback that I received yesterday about Stormi, and then I want to talk about Martell saying that he would not marry Arian, according to what someone told me. I haven't watched the Carlos King interview yet because, I really don't care for his energy too much. Yesterday, I stated that Stormi overreacted to Destiny calling her sweetie, right? Or saying sweetie. And some of the comments were like, yeah, sweetie is disrespectful to Black women. There are multiple ways of saying sweetie, just like there are multiple ways of using the N-word, right? I'll give you an example. If you're about to get in a fight with somebody and this person says, first of all, sweetie, I wasn't talking about you. Or someone says, no, first of all, sweetie, I wasn't talking about you. It's two different tones. And so they carried two different meanings, right? Destiny was alarmed because she was like, huh? Why are you overreacting to something that I didn't even do? Because the term sweetie can be used. It's almost like a filler, right? It's like a comma. People say babe, they say hun, they say sweetie. And yes, Destiny and Stormi had a contentious relationship. So of course she wasn't speaking to her as if she was a friend. No, but they were sort of in like a safe space with Kimmy. Kimmy had brought them together. Kimmy wasn't trying to instigate anything. Both Stormi and Destiny, to their credit, they showed up without an attitude. They seemed to be open to the process. And we have to give people the benefit of the doubt when they're trying to do better, right? Especially when you don't know them that much and they haven't done much to you. And the first time you meet is like some other nonsense that has nothing to do with your relationship. You're kind of caught in a crossfire with some other BS. Stormi has never done anything to Destiny directly and vice versa. Outside of that party, they didn't really have a bad relationship like that. The issue that I have with this particular scene is that as a community, sometimes we are very defensive and we're very reactionary to any sort of slight. And we don't give other Black women the opportunity to make mistakes, or we're very quick to jump down somebody's throat and think that someone's trying to attack us. And this is what I said about Stormi in the first time I saw her. I didn't say she was a bad person. I don't think I did. She's not a bad person because she's very defensive. Melody has become very defensive as well for other reasons. But I'm going to say this. Okay. So if I say something, if I say that's not what I would do, it does not mean that I expect other people to behave the way that I do. However, when I say I wouldn't do something, I try to give it explanations and reasons for why I would not do something. And if it makes sense, then I'm hoping that other people will learn from my thought processes, right? If not, then that doesn't apply to you. But for me, it's important to collect as much data about something before you make an assessment of it, which is why it's difficult for me to review reality shows that are brand new. I'm going to wait to review Love and Marriage Huntsville, DC till maybe 6, 7, 8 episodes in, because I don't know enough about the show or the characters to say anything about them. It just seems unfair, right? So with the space that I'm kind of in, it's you cast judgments on people and you don't even know them. And if you're judging people based on what you don't know about them, you're using your conditioning as the framework for assessment. So the way that I think about you is based on my experiences in life, because I don't know you enough to make any sort of sound judgment based on what I've seen of you. So we have to check our conditioning too. I didn't think Destiny was intentionally being condescending to Stormi. I didn't think so at all. I didn't think that she was trying to start an argument, which is why she was so taken aback by Stormi's defensiveness. She's like, okay, well, we're coming together. We don't all use that word the same way. I call my friends sweetie sometimes, right? Male and female. Now, I will say this. If Destiny was being condescending, it would not have hurt Stormi to wait to hear what Destiny was saying. Because then, if you wait to hear what someone else is saying, you can draw conclusions on whether or not the person's actually being condescending or if you're misinterpreting what they're saying. Destiny wasn't raising her voice. She wasn't cursing her out. She was looking at her, directing her eye. Her body language was not aggressive, right? So this is why Destiny was like, there's no emotional intelligence, because you're eager to see me as the bad guy. Even so, I can't make a mistake around you. Is that what it is? Like, I'm a Black woman, so I know Black women are very sensitive to tone and the way people say things, right? And that kind of gets us caught up sometimes because you're focused on the semantics. We're focused on the little teeny tiny things that we should be using to collect data. My opinion, Stormi would have learned a lot more about Destiny and what was going on if she had waited to hear Destiny out and not been triggered by that one word that could have been taken subjectively one way or another. I'll give you guys an example. And this is weird, but this is an extreme example, right? Suppose you suspect your man is a cheater, right? You suspect he's a cheater. You go through his phone, okay? You go through his social media, and you see that he's been talking to females online, right? Now, if you were to jump down his throat and say, I see you talking to these females, what are you doing? If you jump down his throat, you give him the opportunity to now be a better cheater and a better liar, because now he's going to circumvent whatever resource that you use to collect data on him, right? So instead of him doing it on one phone, or instead of using one social media account, he's going to use a different social media account, and then he's going to use that as an excuse to say, I'm not a cheater. If you had waited for him to cheat on you, for him to actually finish what he was going to do, you can definitively say now, oh, I know you're a cheater because I know this, that, and the third. It sounds weird because some women say, well, why would you want to catch your man cheating? No, I want to see people for who they are. I'm not going to stop you from being who you are. I'm not going to chase you down. I'm not going to babysit you. I'm going to collect as much data about you and your behavior as possible, so that when you do act a certain way, you can't tell me otherwise. You can't tell me I'm crazy. You can't tell me I'm insecure or jealous, right? I have all this information. You were texting this girl, you were talking to her on the phone, and you went to go see her. Now, if I had stopped in between, if I had stopped him when he was in the texting process, I would not have seen what his intentions were. So now you're still sleeping with the enemy because he can tell you, oh, it was just a conversation. Oh, it was just, we were just talking on. No, I want you to finish what you were going to start so I know who I'm dealing with. That's just me. Now, that is my advice for other women. I'm not saying you should do what I do, but the advice is wait, be patient when you're talking to someone or when you're dealing with somebody, especially if you're not in a hostile environment. Kimmy was not going to have them, fighting each other. Kimmy was trying to get Stormi and Destiny to kind of, make peace with the situation, or to, just make amends or something, or apologize or whatever. That opportunity was missed because Stormi was easily triggered by something that Destiny did not mean to do. Because Destiny was like, that's not what I was trying to say. That's not what I was trying to do. Why would you take it that way? You're very defensive, and if you're defensive around people, then you're going to make a lot of enemies too, because people are going to think that they don't feel safe around you. Imagine being around somebody you don't feel safe around. If you say one thing off, they're ready to jump down your throats. Imagine that, right? Imagine having a friend or being in a relationship or even with your parents, when every little thing you say and do is potentially used against you negatively. There's no grace here, right? You can't make a mistake as a Black woman with another Black woman. You can't even accidentally make a mistake because Destiny's tone, in my opinion, wasn't combative. Her tone was not combative. The word sweetie has many different contexts. I think she was using it as like a comment, like saying, because some people, you say sweetie or dare or babe, and especially with older women. A lot of older women talk to younger women and call them sweetie, like aunties. Like I said, but this is based on your conditioning and what environment you grew up in. And that's why I said, if you don't know somebody, you have to now check and reflect on how you were raised, right? And that's me too. If I don't know somebody, my assessment of them is going to be based on my experiences with other people. And that's not fair sometimes. Destiny and Stormi, they had some sort of rift going on. Okay, yeah, the energy was wild. Yes, both of them contributed to that. Stormi's not a wallflower. She was given as good as she got with Destiny. Both of them were at each other's throats, right? So when Destiny came into the room and Kimmy was the one facilitating this, Kimmy is a neutral party. She wasn't necessarily picking sides, right? She wasn't starting an argument with Stormi. Kimmy was the person who was facilitating this, so it was a safe space for both of them. It wasn't safe. It's not going to be safe if you're defensive about everything, right? That one little word basically derailed the whole conversation, and Stormi could have learned a whole lot more about Destiny had she waited. Just wait for her to finish. Now, if you don't trust somebody but you don't know them enough, right? You don't know them enough, and you're in a setting where there's it's a neutral setting, it's safe, whatever, and they say something a little bit slight, but you don't know exactly what the meaning is of it yet, or you don't know what the context is. You store it in your database, and you let the conversation proceed. And if the tone of the individual becomes combative, right? It becomes condescending. It becomes derisive. Then you can say, okay, well, guess what? In the beginning of this conversation, you used the word sweetie, right? And I let it slide because I didn't know where it was coming from. But now I see that you do have some kind of attitude towards me, because after you said the word sweetie, you said this, you said one, you said two, you said three. You give multiple examples. You can't draw an accurate conclusion about something with one source of data, right? And some people can say, well, the source of data was a fight between Destiny and Stormi. No, because guess what? They were both in the wrong, and they were both coming together to wipe the slate clean. So in this conversation, yes, you have a contentious relationship with this person, but there is an effort being made to make peace, right? When you're trying to make peace with somebody, you have to extend some sort of grace with them, especially if they're not attacking you. If Stormi would have waited, she would have found out how Destiny really felt about her, per se. That one word just got rid of everything. So if you have the word sweetie in your database and the conversation continues and it's pleasant, then you can say, well, the context for that was not accurate because I'm looking at it the wrong way, right? A lot of us Black women have been conditioned by trauma, including myself. I've been through a lot of trauma. So our reactions to situations may be a bit hypervigilant. And Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about this. When you're dealing with post-traumatic slave syndrome in a community of people who are constantly under attack, they perceive everything as an attack or an opportunity to assert one's dominance, to prove how strong we are or how you can't fuck with us. That happens a lot with Black women and men. Men are just more violent with it, right? Somebody steps on their shoes by accident, they'll blow their head off or get in a fight with them. Somebody says the wrong thing to Black women, it's no, don't call me that. That's not what I meant though. So now I'm going to be on the defensive because you're already on the defensive. And if you're on the defensive, you're going to treat me as if I am an opponent when I'm trying to have a conversation with you. That doesn't have to be all that. It would not have killed Stormi to wait for Destiny to finish. It doesn't mean that she should wait, but if you want to learn more about somebody, give them the opportunity to talk. Wait for them to show themselves, especially if you're not in danger and you're in a safe space, right? Jalen's home was a safe space. They're in front of cameras. There's Kimmy there as the mediator. She wasn't out in the streets or in a bar. We have to also be aware of the environment that we're in. Yes, Kimmy was at the Galentine's party too, right? But both of them were on 10. But guess what? Kimmy framed the conversation by saying, I'm bringing you guys here to make peace, to fix this issue between you guys. I don't want y'all fighting in a sense, right? She didn't say verbatim, but she brought them together so that they can make amends. That was a safe space. That's not being in a bar or in a club or at some op's house. That's not the same thing. So because of the space that they were in, they had to check their defenses at the door. If you go to a therapist's office, you're not going to be defensive if the therapist asks a question that you may feel triggering to you because you know that the therapist isn't trying to hurt you. We have to learn as Black women to see other Black women as potential allies and not automatically seeing them as enemies. And so it's hard to do that because a lot of Black women are jealous of other Black women. I'm speaking from a Black perspective. There are white women who do this too. It is difficult to have a community that comes together to build anything when everybody is like so defensive of each other, don't trust each other, they don't give each other any grace, there's no emotional intelligence, it's nothing. It's just like, the things are always out. I'm looking for you to offend me and I'm looking to offend you in some way. There's no safety here. There's no warmth. There's no room for error. You can't make a mistake. You can't say something the wrong way a little bit before I bite your head off. You can't offer critique or constructive criticism. I remember Monique talking about the bonnets and how she was attacked for trying to, offer advice to younger women about how to dress themselves in public or how to show up in public. Everything is seen as an attack when it's not meant to be. Now, Stormi is entitled to defend herself, but I'm saying from my perspective, doesn't mean that it's right and it's the only way. Again, it doesn't mean that it's right or that it's the only way. But if you're trying to make amends with people, you wait and see what they say and do and not be triggered by every little thing because you're going to halt the process or delay the process. Now we don't know what Destiny was going to say because she got offended and left. Like, ugh, why am I even dealing with this? Like, this person wants to fight. I can't even have a conversation with you without you getting defensive with me. That's irritating. And a lot of men complain that that's an issue that Black women have. Very defensive. I can't say nothing to this lady without her biting my head off. That's not all Black women, but of course, I'm going to have to say that. And that's another thing. We are a lot more patient with men when we're dealing with our boyfriends than we are with other women. We're a lot more patient when we're dealing with these raggedy ass, cheating, bummy ass men than we are with other Black women who, again, are trying to make peace or trying to make amends. It's like we don't forgive each other for shit. We hold on to shit forever. And sometimes that's not necessary. Sometimes it is, right? Melody not fucking with Martell isn't necessary. I know I can't deal with you. I'm in danger when you're around me, right? But there are other situations that can be pieced up. Not to the point where you're best friends again, but okay, we can be cordial. We can have a conversation. I don't have to hate you because you did something wrong to me and you said the wrong word, right? And we had a little fight over okay, we get it. We were both wrong. We were both wrong. Okay, we both came at each other the wrong way and we're both here to apologize. Being friends is not necessary, but at the very least, we acknowledge the wrongs that we've done and we want to move forward and not make those mistakes again. I can't do that if you're still very defensive around me in a safe space. Because now I'm going to feel like I'm being attacked too. So that's from Destiny's perspective. I think I remember someone saying that Stormi did a live and people used to talk about her appearance and they used to make fun of her, right? And I see some of the comments talking about her on these forums too, which I think is cruel and fucked up. I think Stormi is a beautiful woman with beautiful features, right? She just has her face has a lot of character. So it's how you have cartoon characters and you have movie characters. They pick people with certain features that are memorable and striking, right? She has a beautiful, striking face that's memorable. It has a lot of character to it. She doesn't look like anybody else, right? And so, but she said that she was made fun of for like her nose or whatever, her face. I think that's a part of some of the defensiveness that she has. Having to defend herself from other people's BS, right? Being attacked for no reason, okay? Just like Black people as a collective have been. There's post-traumatic slave syndrome. There's also PTSD if you've been bullied as a child and you're constantly being told certain things about yourself that aren't true. I know this, right? So she may be defensive because of her conditioning too. Okay? And so I'm not saying that Stormi's a bad person because she responded a certain way. I'm just calling out the defensiveness. That's all that I've seen from my perspective. If everybody thought the same way, then it would be boring and the world would just go in one direction and there would just be no nuance to these conversations. It would be Destiny bad, Stormi good. But in this conversation, Stormi could have handled it differently. So I'm done with this point. Okay. Someone in the comment section also mentioned that Martell was on Carlos King's show, and he mentioned that he would not marry Arion, right? That's what I was told. I could be wrong about that. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comment section. If he did say that publicly, that has to hurt for Arion. I know she's hurt behind that. She may act like she's not, but she's hurt. You understand what I'm saying? Even though she was cruel and nasty and disgusting to Melody, and I don't think she's a good person at all, as a human being, as a woman, I feel bad for her. Because this is somebody who, again, sacrificed 7 years of her life for somebody who lied to her from day one. Lied to her about his intentions with her, about leaving his wife. Yes, she knew he was married, but he made it seem like he was going to leave. He made it seem like he wasn't happy. That's why she got upset every time they came back together, because he would tell her, oh, it's over now. Women don't sleep with a man for 5 years while they're married, thinking that the man is not going to leave his wife, unless she's on some sugar baby stuff. Right? And she was, kind of, but she loved him too, and she wanted him for herself. That's why she got pregnant after Melody got pregnant, because she wanted to compete for what she thought was her man. And the only reason why she would think that Martell is her man is because of the way Martell is treating her, of the way Martell is talking to her, of what he's saying to her. If you're talking shit about your wife every time you're with me, I'm going to assume that your wife is the problem and I am the solution to your problem. You want to be with me. As a young girl, you would think that. As an older woman, you don't think that. You know it's game. But she met him when she was in her 20s, so she didn't know the game that these married men play. She kind of knew, but she didn't know. And by the time she found out, she was already in too deep into the addictive, narcissistic cycle of, love bombing and hoovering and triangulation and discard and devaluation and, re-idealization and all this other stuff that comes up in these narc relationships. She got swept into this karmic cycle of pain and then reconciliation, because she loved him too. It was highs and lows, like a drug. So she was addicted to Martell. She still is, in a sense. For him to say this after he gave her a baby, this is why he's disgusting as a person. And this is why I said on my other channel months ago that I feel bad for her, because she's delayed. You could tell there's something off with her mentally. He took advantage of somebody who was naive, who wanted to be with him, who would do anything to be with him. Imagine doing anything to be with a man and he still tells you you're not good enough. And this is what I talked about on my channel about preferences. On the other channel, I said that Martell has a preference for a wife and he has a preference for a side piece. All men have preferences for a wife. They know what they want in a wife before women know what they want in a husband. Men know exactly who they want for a wife. It is usually influenced by their mother. That's imprinted in their heart from a very young age. This is why when men break up with their wives, sometimes they don't move on from them. It's sometimes hard for some men to move on from their first love. That is the person who is etched into their heart. Melody is Martell's first love. She's always going to be etched into his heart, and every woman that he dates is going to be compared to her. So I feel bad for Arian, because she's like, listen, I did everything I could do. I was loyal to you. I was faithful to you for these years. I had several abortions for you, right? I let you use my body for your pleasure. I let you manipulate me. I let you lie to me. I allowed you to use me for what you wanted. And now you're saying I'm not good enough to be your wife. I'm not good enough for you. But I was good enough for you to destroy your marriage for. I was good enough for you to have a baby with or have unprotected sex with, but I'm not good enough to be your wife. No matter how much I support you, I cooked and cleaned and defended you in the public, I bashed your ex-wife for you, making me look like a whole fool out here. I took all these bullets for you, and I'm still not good enough to be your wife. I feel bad for her as a woman. And I said that I would on my other channel. I said I will only feel bad for Arian after she found out the truth of the matter, because that's excruciating. Arian being betrayed by Martell is very painful for her because she betrayed herself first. That is Neptune in the 7th house. I think Arion is a Virgo, and Neptune is currently in Pisces in her 7th house of relationships. I'm going to discuss this on my other channel about why she's so enamored with Martell and why she can see him doing no wrong and why she allowed herself to be used and manipulated and played this way. But I feel bad for her as a human being. Now, she's still trash for what she did to Melody, but that wasn't just her doing by herself. And guess what? We're complex individuals, right? Just because you are a shitty person doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. I know Arion has feelings, right? Me acknowledging Arion's feelings is not going to mean that I'm dismissing Melody's feelings now. That's not how my brain works. I can do both. I can feel bad for a person who is a villain, and I can feel the same amount of empathy or more empathy for the individual that was the victim in the situation, right? So, for me, that's just my way of thinking. Doesn't mean that you all have to do what I do. But as a woman, I feel bad for Arian. I know how that feels to be betrayed by somebody you love. We all know this as women. Well, most of us do. Some of us, are the betrayers. We're the ones who cheat. But some of us have been cheated on and been used and manipulated in relationships. And it's painful for all women to go through that. And men too. So as a human being, I feel bad for her. I do. But at the same time, she deserved it. She earned that. She was entitled to do what she wanted to do with a married man, and so now she has to face the consequences of her actions. We're all entitled to do whatever we want to do. But this is what happens when you don't control yourself and you don't manage your entitlements, right? You think that because I'm a grown woman, I can do what I want. I'm protected from the consequences of my actions. That's not how it works karmically. She's going to have to go through what she put Melody through. Humiliation, betrayal, abuse, self-loathing. All this stuff is going to come up for her. I remember visiting the South, just for an extended stay for a few months. And my cousin was like, do not date any man down here. I wasn't looking anyway, but she was like, don't date any man down here. She said, all of these men are married. And the ones who say that they aren't, they've been married since they were 18, 19, 20 years old. Because down here in the South, we get married quickly. And the women, they kind of trap them in, that's what she said, in high school and early into college. Because they know that the man is not going to go anywhere. In New York, you can't pull that. In Miami, you can't pull that. You're going to be out there by yourself. But in the South, they, for the most part, try to hold on to the family unit more than other places in the country. So she was like, all these men out here are married, period. And they all have girlfriends. And their wives will never divorce them. So don't date anybody down here. She told me this. And I was like, I wasn't interested anyway. But that's kind of what Arian fell victim to. A man who's been married for over a decade. He's still young though, right? Still young, still attractive, and now he wants to have a second life. But his wife sees him as a prize. So she's not going to divorce him like Miss Wanda or Tisha. The man is the prize down there. So because the man is a prize, he can do whatever he wants to do and still come back home to his wife. You're on the outside looking in. Melody kind of broke code and divorced Martell. A lot of these women don't divorce their man. That's another reason why Martell's angry too. Because a lot of women who are in Melody's position would have stayed and took the abuse for the sake of keeping up appearances like Tisha. And not to say that all these men marry women, no, because Martell's mom has never been married, right? But for the most part, these men do marry their women down south. And Arian is not that family unit. Martell saw something in Arian that he didn't like. And because he ain't shit, he didn't tell her what he didn't like. He just used her for what he wanted to use her for to justify staying married. So he was playing Melody and Arian. So, like I said, I feel bad for Arian, but this is why I said Martell ain't shit double. And I mentioned before that, again, I felt bad for Arian because she was mentally delayed. You could tell she's a bit slow or naive or something's off with her mind. And Martell used that against her. Martell was asked on the reunion stage if he had met Arian first, would he have married Melody? And in my commentary, I said that no, what would have happened was he would have basically dated both of them and then ended up marrying Melody behind Arionne's back. That's what I said was going to happen. So he was never going to choose Arian first. He just wanted to, put the knife in Melody even harder because she left him and embarrass her and torture her more. He could have told us last year during the reunion. Why are you saying it now? So I'm going to leave it there, okay? Like I said, I'm going to recap what I said in the beginning. I don't think Stormi is a bad person because she's very defensive. I think that she missed out on a potentially great conversation because she was very defensive and she was eager to jump down Destiny's throat for making a slight miscalculation or error, right? I don't think Destiny came into the room trying to start shit at all. Both of them came on the same type of time. Both of them were aggressive to each other. And so they had the opportunity to now put their gloves down and, meet as women with Kimmy as the mediator who was going to protect both of them from being too ratchet because she's the elder in the situation. And, Stormi came in a bit too defensive. That's all. And we have to, as a community, check our conditioning. Am I reacting a certain way because of the situation that I'm in, or because of my experiences in the past? How has that shaped my perspective about women and about, relationships in general? Right? So my way is not the only way. People can handle things the way they want to handle them. You're not a bad person if you don't do things my way. Okay? But this is my platform and I talk about things from my perspective, and hopefully people can learn things from me. If they can't, then they can go to other platforms and learn things from the people who are talking about this show as well. There are plenty of people doing this. But anyway, I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.